Hello there. My name is Daniel Pratt. I am preparing this oral report for English Class 2020. The name of my paper and this presentation is Nonlinear Molecular Bioinformatics, the Intelligent and Non-Mechanical Genome. All of the references which are used in this presentation are cited right here. And if you think that this sounds like an intimidating subject, please don't. I have gone to a lot of work to make sure that this presentation and the essay are understandable. I definitely think it would be worth your time to stick around and see if you can understand it if you think that it sounds difficult. So the central problem of molecular biology these days concerns the protein folding problem. This right here is a drawing of a properly folded protein. The only way that proteins are active is if they are folded in this way, with these pieces which are overlapping, pieces which are of the sequence. This is the sequence raw here of the amino acids, and then when it's done being sequenced, then it folds into this protein, and this becomes biologically active. And there's this big question mark right here. Since the discovery of the sequence of DNA by Watson and Crick back in the 50s, the sequence has been the focus of molecular biology, and scientists have sort of just assumed that somehow, some way, the protein folding would take care of itself. But it hasn't, and there has not been any real progress made concerning that. This question, it really, more than just concerning biology, is really a philosophical question. It has implications with consciousness and physics itself. The reason for this is because of the Cartesian duality split of mind and matter that science has really been based on, this metaphysical idea that mind and matter, or form and function, are completely separate things. And we've been forced to deal with science and nature in this way since, for hundreds of years. Sir Isaac Newton developed his laws of motion, and I have this picture of billiard balls here crashing into one another. That's really the basic idea of Newton's laws of motion, is that the entire universe is built on these crashing particles, and everything that we know about the universe, even on our level of reality, can be described, or according to Newton's laws, by these particle collisions. So the idea here is that you have a sequence of particle collisions. You can literally go backwards in time and forwards in time and literally predict the entire universe from the moment it started to the moment it ends. It's just this sequence of predictable crashing events of particles. And so it's totally predictable, and it's done a lot of great things for science because of its predictability. However, and that's what this sequence is referring to here, it really is talking about the same thing, about this sequence. We have a sequence, and when this protein is being produced, the enzymes that produce it read it, according to current models, read it sequentially, one base at a time, and then produce this corresponding sequence, which is equivalent, so DNA and then amino acids, and then somehow, just like magic, this protein folds. And it folds every way the same exact way, every time. The same exact way. Just like that, in an instant. I have a quote here from Davies, says, "The number of possible configurations is astronomical." The number of possible configurations is astronomical here. But out of the astronomical possible sequences, it only ends up being one, ever. Only one. And so it's something of a mystery how the chaotically moving chain finds the right configuration. Rosen here, in sort of a ironic tone, states, "All you had to do was specify the amino acid sequence, and the folding would look after itself, and the energy would look after itself, and everything would be all right. Nothing to worry about at all." Well, we've found something else. It's something different. It's not been quite that simple, and so my paper is proposing an alternate solution. We have to jump here, just for a moment, into how ideas are made in your mind, in cognitive, functioning, intelligent biological systems. So focusing here on these figures in the top left, they're taken from Stern. Quantum Theoretic Machines is the name of the book. He gives a basic model of how information happens. Here we have a sequence of non-related dots. Don't look at this for a second. These are totally unrelated, just sequences of particles. Maybe. Particles or well, we'll move on to other examples later, but these are unrelated. And then if you configure them in a specific way, all of a sudden you have a pentagon here that sort of jumps out and is created by them, but in fact the pentagon doesn't exist. The pentagon is only being created when you, as the observer, look at it. The pentagon doesn't actually exist. It's not actually there. It only exists when you interact with it. You are seeing that pentagon, and you are participating with those dots in order to create that pentagon. So down here we have some everyday examples of how this actually works. This is the basic function of the mind, of the mind in general. So we have a series of sequences of just random bits of information. And this one says blade, handle, steel, wood, sharp, notes, 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 music notes here. And then these words say these words are just words. So we have this random sequence, and when we look out into the world, we don't see these random sequences isolated. What we actually see is a knife. And in order to use a knife as a functional tool, we must be able to take all of these different linear ideas. Linear in the same sense as linear particles, linear sequences. We take these linear concepts and we smush them together in our mind, and we have a knife. We have a functional, now we can use a knife. We hear a song. We hear a whole song. We don't hear the disconnected notes. We hear the whole thing. And we get an idea about the song itself, or the tune. And here, in language itself, we have sentence. These words are a sentence. These words are just words. These words are a sentence. Meaning, right? Out of Marwan here, he states that this social informational way of existence can be pinpointed in the society of individuals, in the organism as a society of cells, and in the cell as a society of enzymes. So Marwan is giving us kind of the first idea of how these linear disconnected sequences are actually sort of cooperating in what he calls a socio-informational concept. And they're cooperating with each other, but they're being held together by something. They're being held together by this higher level form. The lower level forms are not really doing anything. They're just sort of placeholders. but the higher level concepts themselves are being held together by an intelligent form. This is entirely implied to give an idea of how a form can come about from a sequence. So there's something higher than the sequence, a higher level form that is actually causing that sequence to come together.